Hello, internet nerds. My name is JoleneCoda, and we're gonna talk about. Some days I wake up and I know what I want to talk about. Today, that is how to beat button mashers. Now, I'm not using this as a necessarily like derogatory term. This is like people who are just pressing buttons, because as a newer player, even at my level, sometimes it can be hard to deal with. Because these homies are just putting out hitboxes that I keep walking into, and it's an issue. But this is a known problem. People have been working on this for years, and we're going to have a look at some of these techniques to deal with that. Now, importantly, this video is split into two parts. First, we're going to talk about those three solutions, what they are, why they work, and how to do them. And then I'm going to pick a character and learn those myself. So I'll both show you what you need to learn and how I go about learning them. Now, if you don't want to watch that final part, that's fine. Just watch the first one to get that advice in. So, let's jump in here. I have been unable to get my younger sister in here to play a button masher. So I have a simulated one here in training mode on block. Homie is pressing buttons. I have them set to blocking all the time. Now, there are three things I'm going to suggest, and I'm going to suggest them from least complicated to most complicated. The least complicated thing is a thing called Frametraps. Now, we're gonna have a look at this fun bar down here. And I know that might seem intimidating. But all you need to know is that frame data is kind of what we use to describe moves. And frames are like, this is a 60 frames per second game. So every frame is like one update. The important thing you need to know, the fastest moves in this game start up in 4 frames. So this is my 4 frame, Luke is hitting with his 4 frame. Now, usually in order to get frame traps, you need to do like fancy stuff like getting plus frames and then doing stuff. But universally, all characters have on some of their lights this thing called chain cancelling, where you can just mesh your own move together. Because you see here, our jab has 16 total frames. And there's this like green startup and the blue like counter. But if we're just mashing this, it comes out way faster than if we like wait. So we can actually use that, because if we hit, we get beaten if we try to just time it. But if we're mashing, homie's the one getting beat. Because when you chain cancel into each other, it happens a little bit faster. This is very dangerous. So if someone's just always pressing buttons, go up and do that. Because they won't be blocking. So like, best case, you just hit them. Worst case, you get the counter hit. And then you gotta make a plan for what you do when you get that counter hit, right? This is my plan for Manon. In this case. So that is the one kind of frame traps. That is the easy thing. Just go up, measure lights, get counter hits. And have an idea of what to do when you get that counter hit. The hard one is one where we need a frame advantage. So what we do here. Okay, I'm gonna have to turn this off to illustrate. So if we look down here, it says that I am plus 3 frames. Basically, that means after the hit, I get to go first. Fighting games are kind of like a turn-based game, but with frame advantage, I get to move before him. And, well, if I have 3 frames of advantage, I go 3 frames before him. And our fastest move is 4 frames. Then he won't have time to do anything. So if we do this and then this, homie's gonna get hit. So see, I have him set to block except pressing buttons. So that is another way to get frame traps. Now, this is going to require some looking with your character. And how often do you just DI in with a specific button? That kind of depends, and that's why we're looking at that at the end. I use Drive Rush into Medium Punch a lot as a Meaty, which is the next thing we're talking about. Which is basically, Meaty is kind of kind of a weird term for it, but that is what we fighting game players have chosen. A meaty attack is basically, I'm gonna set him to whenever he has gotten knocked down, he will press a button. Now, I throw. I mistime it here, showing that it needs practice. But if we look down here, the white bar here is when the throw animation finishes. And then Luke here lays down for the remainder of these yellow frames. He wakes up, has 1, 2, gets hit. But that's only 2 frames. He doesn't have time to do anything. Except maybe for an EX reversal or super, but that is a thing we will cover in a future video. Because that is also a complicated thing. But for now, if we hit them the moment they wake up, we're just going to be having a good time. So this is the meaty I use a lot. Needs to be timed perfectly, but immediate drive rush into standing medium punch. I use that a lot after the command grab because it gives a lot of space. We need to do something. So this varies on your character. What we're gonna be looking at is, well, after this frame trap situation, on block, we have 31 frames. He woke up with a move that is only 31 frames. We have time for a dash up, that's 21 frames, and then a 10 frame normal or heavy punch. So that's exactly 31 frames, which means we will automatically hit on the first frame they wake up, which is brilliant. So we can chain off our frame trap, dash up, that's not a dash, and hit immediately. So you can kind of build repeating situations of that, and then, okay, we get the hit on our meaty. How do we then transition that into a knockdown? That is kind of how I structure my pressure against these people. And again, not all people are button mashers. This won't work against everyone, but you get a feeling, because we play first to 2, right? We get to lose a game and have just the realization while waiting for the next one that, oh my god, this homie will not stop pressing buttons. So, our first 2 things, frame traps, which universally just do this, drive rush into something and press a thing after. Plus frames in this game usually come when people drive rush, and some characters have moves that give it to them. Manon doesn't outside of drive rush, which is why I'm using her as the base example. So, pro tip here, if someone drive rushes into you and is pressing buttons afterwards, you gotta hold that. They have the advantage after that. Except in some situations. Now, when people are mashing buttons, we're also gonna need them to, they are often doing other stuff. So, let's say this Luke, he's really having it. Whenever homie blocks, oh my god, I forgot to press yes. Whoops. Whenever he blocks something, that comes out. Like homie's just sending it. Well, there are other types of special moves. And the reason I have punishing this late, punishing depends on the character you're playing, the character you're playing against, what moves they do, and what spacing you're left at. DPs in general like this are pretty easy to punish. They are like, they're pretty like easy to figure out something against. You have so much time to do stuff. But that's the basic. Frame trap them. Get meaties on them. Because again, if they are pressing buttons, they cannot block. Now, you need to get on the offense to do that, and that's rough. But that is how we deal with them. Because you get rewards off of people mashing buttons, right? I got a counter hit. and a combo off here. Right. So that is key. So that's the entirety of the video. That's 10 minutes. Learn your frame traps. This is fine. Get a throw. Find out your meaty afterwards. Here, we're just walking up, pressing jab. Okay? And then learn some punishes. Learn some nasty combos that will make your opponent regret pressing those big buttons. Okay? That's it. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever. That's the important thing. Now, we are going to go and learn. You can leave now. What we're going to do now is I am going to go and change character to someone I haven't really played. I have not played a lot of Ken. I know a bit about what he does, but I don't know Ken well. I'm gonna show you my one Ken combo. That's my one Ken combo, right? So, Frametraps. Oh, that works. Oh, and we get to confirm of this? Okay, so, Ken. That's a pretty easy frame trap. We see it hits. And we can go into Light Tatsu. Yeah, that's fucking sick. Easy. So, that works. That chain cancels as well. Oh, we can go into DP with this. And how are we after this knockdown? We're plus 25. What's our dash up? 19? Yo. So we can just do this. Now, I'm not used to playing characters with DPs, so I'm struggling here. Okay, we can dash up and just do that again. Yeah, so we need to delay it a bit, else the meaty isn't perfect, but there we go. We also have access to this as a meaty if we want. So like after his throw, where we're at 20. So that's pretty simple. We got time for a lot of stuff. So Ken has access to pretty easy routes here. Let's try, so let's check the way to do this with Drive Rush. So how you, that's only +2 and then. Hey. That works. Let's check some of his other moves. So that's -2. That's -0. That's -5, -6. -2, -5. You know, crouching medium is probably very good here. Because the way Drive Rush works is that you get 4 extra frames of advantage. So now we're 4 frames up. So we don't even have to go for a light punch. We can like... Oh, we can actually go for another crouching medium punch. So we can dash in, crouching medium punch, crouching medium punch. And then there's a 2-frame gap. And again, no characters have 2-frame normals. And I think on hit, on counter hit, right? If we get the counter hit as with here, that's 5 frames. Oh, so then we can go into standing. Yo! That's kind of sick. So if we put the reversal on, right? We go in here, bam, bam. Oh, that's too far. So I would probably just do this and then that. Because I feel getting the target combo here is pretty easy to confirm of. Yeah, perfect. This is exactly what I meant. That was 5 minutes. That didn't take long. And I was lucky we found a character that had access to some very, very good shit. But you know, that is what matters here, is what your character does. So we just dash up and keep that going. And if they keep mashing, he's now mashing on block after taking damage after wake up, we just go. You know? And if we don't make any mistakes here and they keep pressing buttons, we win. Right. That's kind of the crucial thing, is that if they just keep pressing buttons, we can just keep looping these setups. So yes, you're gonna have to go into the lab. Yes, that sucks. But I think it's important. But the easiest and most valuable thing you can just take from here is, if you see someone who's always pressing buttons, go up and mash your jab. Hit them when they wake up. Meaty them. And just... Because if they're pressing a button, they are not blocking. That is one of the most important things you gotta remember in this case. So, go out there and beat up some button mashers. Please.